Scandal of the highest degree. I am Couch Cube, by the way. Brothers, Tale of Two Sons, don't know what else it would be a tale of, actually doesn't run on the PlayStation 5, doesn't even install. That's a first for me. Normally games are a bit iffy, bit dodge, but didn't even take it on board. Did come out in 2015. This video is going to be a bit of a showcase for the 3 games. It Takes Two turned out to be a really massive game, and deservedly so, and interesting because it's local co-op or online co-op only. Brothers is a single player game that works with 2 analog sticks working independently, but you're supposed to control them both. It's a very interesting area. I did have it once with a game on Xbox Live. I wasn't paying attention, but on the back of the box it hasn't even got that local co-op symbol, so unless you want to share the pad intimately with someone else, that is actually a feasible method of local co-op if your hands accidentally touch. It's not something I'm going to try with my mates. Now, this game was produced or distributed under 505 Games. Hazelight Studios obviously made it, but it was pushed out en masse under that publisher/distributor name, which is hella interesting because that didn't last very long. They may have seen a bit of success with this game because EA snapped up the studio in about 2018. It was also a multi-platform release. You saw it over on Xbox and the Sony side, and of course the Switch. The pennies just dropped. If you play this on Switch, have a Joy-Con each. Then you haven't got to worry about accidentally intimately touching each other. EA implemented some platform exclusive rules with the final game on this list, which was a bit dodgy, but it made its way over to everything, and A Way Out, which is coming up shortly, also released on most systems, but not on the Nintendo Switch, which is a bit of a bummer really, because that would be a great game to sort of carry around and play on the toilet. Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, no shit, actually runs quite well on the PlayStation 4, and the game has like a striking sort of simplicity to it, mixed in with quite a lot of work on detail, so you automatically feel quite relaxed. The music's very good. You can tell that Hazelight didn't go off half-cocked with the release of this, and its success on an indie level, I remember, was pretty damn deserved, and that put them in a perfect position for A Way Out. It's with crystal clarity that I can remember purchasing this game. It was a super interesting time for the PlayStation 4, and couch co-op was very much a predominant thing on the PlayStation Network with almost every free game that they released. That's how I found Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time, Broforce, all of those classics. Also a very healthy time for the channel with hundreds of thousands of views on my couch co-op and split screen lists. It was exciting. And this game came out not free on PSN immediately, but as a standalone purchase. I snapped it up physical, and I think I reviewed it on day one. Initially, hardly any arcade gameplay in it. Not like the Brothers, where you're sort of going down waterfalls and avoiding wolves. This was very much a setup of backstory, character, and immersion with this prison that you're plonked in, and the whole story is, as the title suggests, you breaking out over a course of the entire game. Its true split screen elements really impressed me, and the other player gets to do loads of very different things in the same area or arena as player 1, but you don't really interact. You may be viewing something, there may be a fight, and you just have to stand back. It's really cool stuff, and it works very well with telling 2 stories and sort of crisscrossing them over all the time. Most fight scenes switch to like a QTE event. Sometimes you do get to do a bit of button mashing and beat someone up on a sort of third person level, or even be in conjunction with each other, i.e. both things are happening on the same screen at the same time. But that's a bit of a rarity, and I like the idea of the staggered story being unraveled to you completely in split screen. Allowing some big scenes or certain cinematic sections of the game will switch out to one screen if it's showing you something damned important. So think The Great Escape, think that Stallone film where they play a game of football, or even Prison Break. You've got a lot of tropes and cool little backstories going on in here that nod to those classic films.
Stay the hell away from me, okay?
The content of the game is also quite adult focused. It's certainly the most grounded release from that studio, and far flung from Brothers and of course the next game coming up. But this is quite a serious, not half-baked, cool story, and if you want to enjoy it with someone of equivalent age, then it's a recommended one, because you will keep going back to it to find out what happens to these two and whether they get out of this hellhole. And once you are out, things start going even more haywire. Let's talk about It Takes Two. And by the way, A Way Out is only 2-player local co-op or online co-op. You cannot play that game single player. And the same goes for this, which I thought was a very bold move. Totally impressed with that. The game got its own standalone review by my good self, and it did very well on numbers. It had a little bit of platform exclusivity with Game Pass and Xbox and the Microsoft side. We had to wait. I think it was nearly a year before they released it over onto the Sony side, which was a very good thing. Luckily, I was into Game Pass at the time, so I got to this day one. It demonstrates a lot of maturity within its design and the journey that the studio have been on. Some of these amazing ideas, the cooperative aspect to loads of the puzzles and the boss fights is something that you just can't get on your first game. The Journey produced this almost perfect split screen platformer and is extremely accessible. Kids will love this one, adults are going to get bang into it because it's quite tough in areas. Actually, it looks like the Switch release was delayed. November 2022, the Nintendo owners had to wait until then to play this. I think it was a dual release both on Sony and Xbox, so I stand corrected. If you want it on Game Pass, however, you do have to install that dodgy EA app and launch it from that app. I'm so glad I've got rid of that. That was slowing everything down. I felt like I was being watched. It was a horrible thing to have on my desktop. Talking of desktops, or my new channel layout, I've put things in kind of nice and easy areas. I've put my newer lists in a whole chunk, and you've got my standalone reviews of games now on one section, and of course the Couch Co-op Classics, and then of course you've got my new releases, or the 5 more series, the entire set, which is I think 35 videos. You've also got all the horror film stuff in the one place, and right at the bottom you've got Cyberpunk, which will be having a new vid because we've got the huge Reset DLC coming up. I cannot wait to see that. I also cannot wait to be there.